to set this system up on this to help what we talked about the other day. So two things I'll have pulled up here. I have the illustration software, so we can actually go through like a mock for like one or a couple of your guys if you want to.
Yep.
And then kind of throw it into my calculator I have here, that'll showcase different things and really paint a nice picture of it. Um, Now, just to kind of go through real quick, kind of what the process, what we look for, reason why we use the companies that we do um, for things. So, in order to make this work, the vehicle that we use is a specially designed whole life insurance, but not one that you can get from just anybody. These are
Yep.
specially designed with specific companies for a specific reason. Um, Most financial advisors, even in the league, have no clue that this is even possible, or if they do, they are not willing to do them. And the reason being, a lot of times, because of that, is because they get paid a lot less on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll show you how that works too. How when I set these up, I'm very upfront and transparent with what I get paid on these to guys. I literally will just tell them like, here, I'll show them exactly on the ledger what my commission is technically, and what if it was set up the other way around from an experience, how much more if I'm not designing it for them. But the companies that we use, number one, just the things that we have up here is they got to be in good financial standing. As we know, life insurance companies are the most stable companies on the planet, and they are the backbone of our entire economy. So, like when the government needs bailed out, that's where they go, is to these companies. Um, the second one is mutually participating. So again, what that just means is, as a policy holder, you are a part owner of the company. So that directly aligns your best interest with the insurance companies as well. So anytime that they operate on their best interest, they're also doing it on yours. And the participating part means that you also participate in the profits of the business. That's paid out through a dividend. These policies are designed where there's a guaranteed interest rate that they earn, which is around 2.5 to 3.5% depending on the company, and then they earn a dividend on top, which is not guaranteed, but the companies, as we talked about before, they pay out a dividend every year, and they have been for the past 140 to 150 years. So it's not guaranteed, but it's assumed. Um, with that dividend, the interest that they can earn on the policy um, right now is around 5.75% total. Um, Again, this isn't used as an investment alternative. This is used as a savings alternative on steroids. That's going to make their money more efficient and protect it as well
Yep.
too. The other things that these add in that I do talk about more so as well, just to paint the picture. Um, it does come with the living benefits piece as well too, to help protect them while they're living as well. So something happens to them where they get a diagnosis, get in a car accident, they become paralyzed from the waist down, something along those lines that happens to them. They can have, they can tap into the death benefit early and have the insurance company pay to take care of them. So that way that burden's taken off their family shoulders. The legacy play as well too. So that's one of the things that a lot of guys will use this for, even just primarily, is just buying more net worth directly, because obviously you're going to get way more money on a death benefit than what you put into it.
Yep.
So it's guaranteeing that generational wealth becomes something, and we set that system up to where it guarantees that money never gets squandered, and it grows every generation. So that's another one. The tax-free income retirement as well. So in retirement at any point, we can turn on an income stream from this as well too. That's tax-free, that they don't actually have to pay back if they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll still leave a massive death benefit. I'll show you kind of what that looks like on the software as an example. And then the other piece of this is something that is unique, is being able to recapture the money that they spend on any major purchases. So if they're buying a car, if they're going on a vacation, paying for a wedding for their daughter, down the line, or their own, whatever the case may be that they're using for, where they're putting money in something that they're not going to earn any money from, we can show them, we can recapture that money, so that way it stays in, they have still control of that to help earn for them in the future. Um, And the way we do this through the policy, as far as for whether it's taking money out for investing, different things like that, so that way it's not taxed, is we take it in the form of a loan from the policy itself. Um, and we have to look at certain things on that loan, why we want to use a certain company as well. So, for example, make sure that it's amortized. Fancy term for just saying that you only pay interest on what's remaining on the loan, on the balance that remains.
Yep, makes sense.
It's simple interest as well too. Doesn't compound. The way that we want to make sure that the interest rate is designed is that they take the rate. So let's say if it's 5%, they divide that by 365 for the amount of days per year, and that's the amount that they will add each day that the loan is outstanding on the remaining balance. They'll add that on at the end of a 12-month mark. So if you take a loan out today, they'll tack it on at the 12-month mark.
Mm-hmm.
What's cool about these though is that, for example, if you take out a $100,000 loan for an investment property and you pay it back a lot faster, you're not going to pay 5% on the loan. You're basically going to pay under 0.5%, just as easy terms. But the actual interest rate on those ends up being less than 5% when, they're smart and they pay it back. Because obviously it gives them more cash that then they can deploy somewhere else. Because when they put that money back into their policy, they have direct access to it again right away. So then they can redeploy and reuse it. But any questions on that stuff on there? Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I try to keep it as easy and simple to understand as possible on there. Did you get the my link to the protection playbook?
Yeah, I have not gotten to that yet, bro.
That's totally cool. That'll answer a lot of questions as well. For
Okay.
you. All right. So one of the companies, my primary one I use is Lafayette. It's Lafayette and One America are the two that I use.
Okay. And why is that?
Because of the reasons as follows from here.
Okay.
So they're in good financial standing. So Lafayette and One America have been around for 120 and 145 years.
Okay.
They're mutually participating. They pay dividends. They pay a dividend every year, and their loans are non-direct recognition. So what that means is, when you take a loan, they don't take that loan away from your from the amount that you can earn on the cash you have in there.
Gotcha.
So say you have $100,000 in your policy and you decide you want to take $50,000 out, they're still going to pretend you have that $100,000 still in there, and that's what you're going to earn your interest rate on.
Gotcha.
Versus direct recognition says you took 50 out, so you have 50 left. That's what you're going to earn interest on until you pay the whole thing back. So that's why I use these two companies. There's a couple nuances with each one on why we'd go with one or the other, but for the vast majority of cases, we're usually going to go with Lafayette. They're favorable to athletes as well too. Their leadership is phenomenal, fantastic, and we can fully customize these things to the T. For example, last year we designed one, signed an NDA, so I can't say who it is because obviously these guys are really private when it comes to this stuff. But we did a policy where he put $3 million in up front, and then he was putting in $1 million a year for 10 years. And he just wanted it as a tax-free retirement play. So what we did when we designed it is he put in basically $13 million. And then starting at age 55, he wanted to activate the income till age 100. We usually try to go to about 100 because we pretty much know that at that point you probably won't be around. But he was able to take out $890,000 a year tax-free. At that point, he didn't have to pay back. So when you add it all up, it was over $40 million in tax-free income on top of what he was being able to use before. And it still left an $8 million death benefit to his family. So, and that's just if he was using it for that. Now, if he was going to use it between now and then, which then now he is, he's borrowing from the policy, putting into investments, and then taking the money, putting it right back in to pay it back, at least his loan that he wants to structure. Because again, these loans that these guys take from the policy, you control them. So if you control the terms, you control how quickly you want to pay it back, what the terms are, how much you're putting in. And if you don't pay it back, all the insurance company does, they just take that a balance and they just deduct it from your death benefit when you pass. Because a loan they're taking whatever cash value you have in the policy as collateral, and then all they're doing is whenever you take a loan out, that amount is just coming from the death benefit they already promised you when you died. So either way, they're getting their money back. So that's why they're not. It's not like borrowing from a bank or a private lender or something like that, where if you don't pay back, whatever asset you have is theirs now.
Yep.
So it gives them back control. So let's go ahead and do an example here. We'll do an easy one, and then we'll do a couple different variations real quick. So I'm just going to use. Do you have a guy in mind right now? You don't have to say name, but like somebody just off the top of your head, one of your guys that you kind of want to maybe design one for as a mock?
Yeah, let's do Alec Pierce. It's fine. You can use his name.
Okay. Let's do Alec Pierce. So we'll do Alec. What's his birthday?
I'll get it for you. 5/2/2000.
Oh man, he's one day after me, or 2 days before me. Okay. All right, it's 25. We'll do male. What state is he in?
Indiana.
Current residence. Okay. I know he plays for them, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So different products you can see on here. This is the inside of it. One that we use. You don't need to know too much about this stuff, but we basically use Patriot for most of them because it gives us the best cash value with also long-term growth. I'll use a couple of the other ones every so often if like they just are looking for straight cash value as fast as humanly possible up front, but things like that. So, all right. So what we're gonna do here. So this stuff's all pretty much standard. Now ratings. This is how insurance companies decide how much they're willing to insure you for. Insurance companies, that's all they do is evaluate risk. So standard's pretty typical, normal. I usually will illustrate at that just to give a standard, but most athletes are going to at least be at the preferred level, if not super preferred, depending on injury history, just because of the nature of what they do. So we're going to do a preferred on this one. And then down here, I'm just going to kind of buzz through. Let's do an example, like how much would you feel, not just based on him, but like, do you want to just do like an easy one of like 100K?
Yeah,
100K
that's what I was going to say, 100K. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is, here's the different options that we have. We always do a base PUA blend. Now what that means is base pays for the death benefit. So whatever amount we're doing towards, so if we're doing 100 grand and we're going to do like a simple one, let's say 20% to base out of 100 grand. So $20,000 is going to pay for the death benefit. The other 80,000 is going to go towards the cash value that's available to use. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So for this example, let's say we're designing it for as high as we can, cash value. So I will always start, usually do about a 20% to the base, 80% to the PUAs, which simple term is paid up additions, fancy term for the cash. And then what I'm going to do here is we're going to calculate the total annual premiums, 100,000, and then we're going to see if it works and make sure it stays tax free. So this one up here tells me 7-day premium has been exceeded. Policy would be considered a modified endowment contract. MEC just means, it's a fancy term, just saying that this would be a taxable entity, just like any other investment. So then what we do to avoid that is we just add a term rider on top of it, so term insurance. And we can choose anything on here.
What's standard there?
Standard 7 years. So it'll add like a small term insurance on top just to keep this thing from being taxable.
Okay.
It does it automatically. Now some guys I've designed some for guys that want a 30-year or 20-year term, because they're like, I love the death benefit aspect on this, and I want to be able to have the option to put even more money into this thing if I want to. What this allowed, because you can only put a certain amount into the policy initially, depending on how much you're wanting to put in at the beginning. If you max fund the policy, you can always get another one. That's a great part about these, is that you can have as many as you want. There's one client that I have that has 9 whole life insurance policies, all with different blends, with different structures, with different goals, because we design it specifically around the goal as well too. So, but for this one, we're just going to keep it simple, just trying to add this so we can do it. I'm going to calculate the results here. Pull up easy. Okay, so this is the numbers here. I'm going to copy these over. And then we're going to go down to age 100. And I'm going to put this in my calculator here because it'll give you some better numbers. If I need to zoom in, let me know too.
No, you're good.
Okay. All right, so I'll put those in there. Okay, so I'll do a little zoom in here real quick. There we go. That worked. All right, so we put 100,000 in. Now you'll notice here that at 7 years, you'll notice that the death benefit here continues to go up, and then it drops, and that's because the term rider falls off.
7 years. Yeah.
Yep. So if we add the term longer, obviously that'll continue to climb longer, but you see that the death benefit starts to quickly rise back up again.
Do you most, or can you do it less than 7 years, like 5 years?
7 is the minimum.
Minimum.
And
okay.
that's, and we can't change that. The insurance company can't change that. That's federal.
Okay.
That we can't change that. But what we can do is we can maneuver the percentage of the money that goes in to avoid having to do that in the first place.
Gotcha.
So say for example, if we did, I'll use this one as an example here on the next sheet, but just to show you, let's say we did a 30 to base and 70% to the cash value, at least at the beginning. Calculate that. Let's see if it makes us have to have that. Okay, so this one did need a term rider. It has a term on that side, so we did have that. So let's try to click that off. Let's click not avoid. Let's see if it does. It will do it if we get to a 60-40 or 50-50 split. Okay, so exceeded in year 10, at which time it becomes taxable. So that's how we just play around with it. The term rider is not a big deal. It's really, you'll see it on the illustration because I'll run the illustration. So you can have a mock of one to actually just be able to reference and have. And you'll see, like, I'll show you that it really isn't that much, to be honest. Especially cumulatively compared to how much, Alec's making in general.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's cool about these as well is on this side we can front load the policies as well. So I remember how I told you a client last year, he put in $3 million up front and then he was doing $1 million a year. He was very committed to doing this because he knew he wanted to. Typically we usually will start out with some smaller, anywhere from like 100 to 250 a year a lot of times, and then eventually as they put this in practice, they realize how powerful it is and they want to get more and more. And then those will start to increase the numbers that they put in. But say we want to add in, like he's like, I want to put 100 a year, but I want to front load it and I want to put in another 300K just to get more cash available up front. Then what we do is we'll put that in, we'll run those. I didn't put the policy number in there. That's okay. Let's do that real quick. Avoid the Mac. Sorry, the softwares are still like stuck at the 90s. So
No, you're good.
so these are so clunky sometimes. All right. Come on. All right, well, that's figuring it out. Let's I'll show you just on the baseline here of these. So you'll notice down here that so he was able to put 100,000 a year in for 7 years, and then you see that the number started to drop, right? That's because it's limiting the amount he can put in to keep this thing from becoming taxable. Okay.
So he's putting in a year 8, another 99.
That's what he can put in. So now what's great about this is that we can continue payments, or we can tell it, hey, stop paying payments after 7 years. And then we can show that. I'll show you what that would look like as well too. But yeah, we can make payments all the way through as long as you want, up until age 75 is when this thing is fully paid up. He can't put any more in. Now in this example, just to show you, he puts 100,000 in. He has a cash value on this in year 1. Now this is at the end of the year, just to keep that in mind. He has a cash value of 84,000, just under 85. So he has access to 85% of the amount of cash he put in year 1. That's not bad at all.
No.
In year 2, he puts in 100. He's got 180,000 in cash value. He's got 96% of the money he put in available. There's 2 points that we always look at, that I always look at with this, and that's called the efficiency zone and the break-even point. Efficiency zone is right here, meaning cash on cash return. When you put $1 in, you get more than $1 out.
Yep.
Right? So starting in year 3, that's when his efficiency zone begins, is in year 3. Every year after that, the money goes up and up, and you can see he's putting in, like say in year 20, he put in $27,000. His cash value went up 118,000. He had a 433% return on that money, cash on cash.
Yep.
And it keeps going up from there.
Yep.
So that's basically the bank. Like saying, when I said you put $1 in that ATM and it's going to spit out $4 to you every single time.
Yeah, need that minion as you talked about.
Exactly. Hire that minion 24/7.
Yeah.
Keep putting bucks in there. So that's kind of what that looks like there. And then the break even point. This is where your cash value is now equal to or greater than the amount of premium deposits you've put in. So in this policy here, that happens in year 5, based on the illustration. So he's put in 400 grand total in premium deposits, and the cash value now is actually happens sooner than that. Sorry, my fault. I am totally wrong. So this happens in year 3 of the policy.
Yep.
He put in 200 grand. He's got 200 grand in, or 300 grand in. I don't know why I didn't calculate that. That's my fault. So 300 grand in here. So it would happen year 4. So he put 400 grand in. He's right shy of it. 500 grand. He's at 504.
Yep.
So that's the break even point. So everything after that obviously is straight money there. But he doesn't have to wait until then to use the money. He can start this cash value that if he puts in that.
That was my question. Yeah.
Yes. So this is annual. So he's not paying. He wouldn't be paying a monthly. Monthly, it's a little different. But when you pay annual, the money goes right in, right? He has access to this money within 30 days. And sometimes it can happen within 2 weeks. I've seen it happen within 2 or 3 days that he has direct access to it, where he can take it out and deploy it right away, and whatever the case may be. A lot of guys are using this to, obviously, a lot of them are getting more so into private equity, private lending, things like that. So that way they can just let it go work and usually get first position on the asset or something like that to protect them as well.
Yep.
But at least he has access to that much right there. He can immediately deploy. And then obviously the death benefit climbs up and up and up all the way through. Obviously when he gets to age 100, this policy has $26 million in there on the death benefit. Now let's say, okay, so I did final quote. So here's an example of a 300K dump in. Okay, so if we take these numbers and go to age 100, because most of us are probably not going to live to age 121.
No, be nice.
It would be. I mean, who knows? By the time we're at that age, who knows what they're going to be able to have at that point. But all right, so we put this in 400 grand. So he's putting 400 grand. Cash value's right here on that side. So he's got access. If we do this, I don't know why that number's not there, but if he does that number divided by that number, he's got 93% of his money available in year 1. And you see how the death benefit even was higher than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty about how we can really customize the policies. Now, if I run this one, for example, now this one here, he can run down to 75 as normal. Now, if I run this one, and let's say, actually, before I run this one, let's say, for example, he says, hey, my career's coming up. I want to only do this for 10 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is we'll click the switch paid up, reduce paid up. That just basically is a fancy term that just says at this year, let the policy pay for the insurance. And we're going to do that. We'll do that at year 10. And then we'll calculate the results from that. Okay, so you'll see at year 10, he stops right there. He can put just shy of 97 in there. But this is where his death benefit is at. Obviously, we know that at this, here, it doesn't actually fall off, so that's actually pretty good. So we didn't even need the term writer on there. So that's how we can design it where, hey, if he wants to say I want to turn it off, he can.
Mm-hmm.
He has direct access to do that. If we view the illustration, and it just takes a minute. There is flexibility in how much he can put in as well too. So there's a minimum amount that has to go in every year just to keep the policy in good standing. On there, a lot of the stuff's all there, but you can see. I mean, these illustrations are not. It's 22 pages, so it's not long.
Yep.
Which is nice. Here's the ledger on it. So he's put in this much. Here's the net death benefit. How it keeps going up. Obviously, at year 7, we see it go from 9 million down to 3 because that term rider falls off at that point. But yeah, he doesn't pay any premium in there, and you can see the cash value just keeps going up and up and up. So for him, like say he even got to age 60, let's say he passed away age 80, $15 million tax free is going to his family.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is non-guaranteed, so we want to be safe on this, but this is assuming the guarantee rate plus a dividend that has been paid out every single year since this company's existence. So again, we can't say 100%, but we are 99.9% sure it's getting paid out. And what's crazy right now is dividend rates. We are in the lowest dividend rate that we've been in the last 90 years. So we only expect those numbers to go up.
Mm-hmm.
So as I showed you, like the efficiency point and the break-even points, like we're at year 2 and year 5. I've seen that illustrated, but even in recent designs and that are in force, I've seen that happen as fast as like break-even point was year 2, and year 2 was also the efficiency zone.
Yep.
So it can get better, it can get worse, but that's where we stick with this. Where like, if he were to get something like this, or any of your clients get something like this, I'm going to meet with them every quarter to make sure that things are going the right way. I'm going to be running it, make sure that we're in the right standing, and if there's any adjustments we need to make, we'll make them. And I'll work alongside too. What's great is I can work right alongside whoever his financial advisor is,
I was going to
whoever
ask you
his
that.
team is.
Yep.
Yeah, like this is a great bolt-on. Like this isn't just a standalone. It can be, but this is just a great bolt-on to what they're already doing, and just make the investments more efficient. Like he could just, if he wanted to, it's like, hey, put your money in here, and then pull it out and give it to your advisor
Mm-hmm.
that you trust, that is putting things in that is investing your money in things that are aligned with who you are.
Yep.
That's my biggest thing. Don't put your money in anything that doesn't align with who you are. And but that way he's protecting the investment, so that way he's making the money earn for him in multiple ways at the same time. And then all we do is build out the system very simply, where some of that money can just goes back into the policy, pays back that money, gives him additional cash and capital he can then use again, and rinse and repeat the process over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I have clients that are using this where they're like, for example, one of them is putting in about $300,000 a year. He did $1 million dump in, and he's taking out like clockwork. He's taking out $100,000 every year to put into real estate, because that's what he loves. He loves real estate, doing multifamily. So he's taking $100,000 out every year, and then he's paying himself back all the way through as well too. So that way he builds it back up, and then he's going to turn on the income stream at 65 as of right now. So he has that kind of money as well. But we developed a strategy behind that, so that way he never, so that way he's smart with it, so he doesn't outlive it, and he doesn't make the policy lapse.
I got a question for you. Now,
Yes.
all this stuff makes sense. It all sounds good. I probably got like 10 more minutes tops. I do have a Zoom at 3 and I have a couple calls to make.
Mm-hmm.
What's your fee?
Mine, I don't charge anything on these. My pay comes solely from the commission.
So where's your commission at then? What commission do you get?
So I get paid based on the base.
Yeah, so 100,000 base he throws in. What's your commission on the base?
So if we're doing 100,000 on the base, and he's putting 20% towards the base, right? His premium deposit, because we look at it as a deposit, right? You're putting money based on your own bank. I get paid off the 20,000. So for me, the insurance company looks at this and goes, we know the lifetime value of how long someone stays with us is 7 years.
Yep.
So they front load the commission in the first year. So I get the whole 20K in that first year as a commission. I get 9 months of it is up front, and then months 10, 11, and 12, it pays out a monthly rate for the remaining, whatever it is.
Yep.
And then it's 1.5% of the cash value that's going in. So 1.5% of 80 is 80,000. How much is that? 8,800. So $1,200. So I would get a 21,200 bucks as a commission, but that's automatic. So no matter where he ever goes for life insurance, for insurance in general, period, especially life insurance, there's a commission getting paid out regardless. Where things get stuck in what he may have seen, he may have seen before, you may have seen before, is when you see these policies that are paying out and they're like, oh, well, you don't have any cash available for 3 to 5 years. That's because the agent is putting all the money towards the base and nothing towards his cash value, which means that agent's getting paid that $100,000 as a commission. So they're looking out for themselves.
Yep.
So when I say I'm taking an 80-90% pay cut, I can prove it.
Yep. That would all make sense.
Yep. So that's how that works. I'll show you real fast since I just ran it. Let's say he wants to turn on an income stream from this for supplemental retirement income, tax-free. So what we do is I'll go down, I'll do this income stream, and we're going to turn this on. Just traditional years, age 65, we'll do it for 35 years, up until age 100. And what it means withdrawal to basis, then switch to loans, it's going to withdraw the money. Okay, why did it not? Okay, that's weird. I don't know why I did that. It should work. It does that because it's a system error. I don't know why that's doing that. It withdraws money from the premiums that he already paid in, which is basically his own direct money. And then once that runs out, then it takes it in the form of a loan. So the first 7 years that he would take out income from it for retirement, if he wants to, they're not going to have a loan percentage attached to it as well.
Gotcha.
So that'll help keep money in the cash value and help that continue to grow a lot faster. So I wish I could be able to pull up the illustration, but it's not letting me. The software's kind of going nutty.
It's all good.
So,
it is informative. It is very interesting.
Oh, here we go.
To me, it's sort of a no-brainer.
It really is. And once they see the examples, again, it's a complement to what you're already doing. It's a bolt-on, and it's a security blanket and a protection blanket. Yes. And then in that ebook, in that protection playbook I sent you, I walked through strategies on how we utilize the death benefit, where we want it to go, to then make it create the waterfall effect, where that death benefit goes into, for example, we'll go into a trust. That trust is controlled by, the individual or by his family company, what we usually will say is your own family front office. And that death benefit then buys life insurance on every new member of your family. And then that death benefit, the trust becomes the beneficiary of the policy. So every time a new family member dies, that money goes right back in. But then every family member you can design it however you want. That's what's so great about that. But it guarantees that your wealth for your family will grow every single generation without fail.
Yeah.
And it takes away where your family will never have to go to a bank to get anything ever again. I'm going to go right down to the bottom pages here to show you the income stream. Here we go. All right. So this is the ledger. So let's say, he puts the money in. Now, here's where at age 66 is when it's starting to take out money. So this is the partial surrender. He can take out $158,000 a year in tax-free income.
At 65.
At 65 until age 100.
Goals.
And so as a great just buffer, and
And this is
what
just like a leg of a chair. It doesn't include what else investments he has.
exactly. And what I will always tell guys is I say, don't expect to turn this on just to rely on it.
No.
Only turn it on when you feel that your investments for that year aren't going to, you want to keep the money in there because it's a down year. Like let's say if you're investing in stocks or bonds, options, whatever, crypto, or if you have private equity or private equity or private lending that you just expect you might take a loss on that year, then dive into this.
Yep.
And that's just the max amount he can take if he does this every year.
Yep.
If he doesn't do this every year, there's way more he has access to take out just to maintain the lifestyle that he wants to have. And that's what's beautiful about it. So, like, because for example, the gentleman that I told you where he did 13 million over 10 years, he has 890,000 he could take out from age 55 to 100. And we developed a strategy with him and said, what's going to be the amount that you need to live the lifestyle you want to maintain at that age? What do you think it'll roughly be? And he was like, probably about 400,000. And we said, okay, so then you're going to take out 400, and then what you're going to do is budget out 25% of that total 890. That's cash value you have available to invest that year to get into more cash flowing assets, whatever it is that you want. The other percentage, keep in the policy to keep it extremely healthy. And then what that'll do is it'll also increase the amount you can then take in your later years if you decide you want to.
Yep.
But either way, like that's a great part about this, that we walk them through it. I walk them through it, and no matter what, like I said, I meet with them every single quarter minimum, and just make sure that everything's looking good. I send the reports. I really am proactive in that sense because I truly care.
Yep.
And then once we get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's like whatever we decide to do and shift, we can shift. And with a policy like this as well too, I want to show you the flexibility of this as well. So if he's putting 100,000 a year in right here, this 22,000 is the minimum amount that needs to go into the policy during those years just to keep it in good standing. So if it's a bad year or something else popping up or whatever the case may be, he's like, man, I don't want to put the full 100 in. Can I put less? Yes, all the way down to this number. So there's definitely flexibility in what he can put in and what he can put out. And there's certain years where he might be able to put more than 100 in as well too.
Yep.
We just make sure it's good, so that way it never becomes taxable. Yep. That's all we do. And then I basically in there as a mentor to just say, hey, listen, if whatever you're looking to try to do, let's see if it works with your policy. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay. At least we know.
Yep.
But how can we utilize the policy to continue just to compound what you're already doing, what you want to do? And that's what ultimately this does. It just gives them back control. Gives them protection, gives them security, peace of mind, gives them control, so that way they can grow their wealth and compound it their way, and not just have to rely on the financial advisor to tell them what to do, or be taken advantage of, which you know even better, way better than I do, how much these guys just get preyed upon.
Oh yeah.
And it's like this can help prevent that, just in case. It happens all the time. You get, someone comes to you and says, hey, give me 250 grand for this business venture. It's going to kick ass, and then it doesn't. Well, at least here they didn't lose that 250. It's still earning for them in their policy.
Yep.
And if they don't decide to pay it back, just comes away from that death benefit at the end when they pass. It gets deducted from whatever's remaining here.
No, this is good, bro. This is good.
So, but I have this recording. I'll send it over to you as well, so you have this so you can reference. I'll shoot you over the illustration as well, just the PDF of it at the same time, and then go through that playbook. Like I said, it probably only take you 15 minutes to read it. It's 35 pages. It's what I send to everybody who's either a prospective client or is a client. So if you want, send it to your guys, let them check it out. My phone number's in there, so if they have questions, you have questions, reach out. And if there's anybody that you want to think about, just having me present this to, I could care less if they decide they want to do anything or not. That's totally their choice. Yep. If I can just present it, help educate them, show them the possibilities there, we can get stuff set up at least before camp starts, when I know obviously they're going to get super busy.
Yep. Awesome. You the man. Send this over to my way. I'll digest it, and I'll talk to some guys I think maybe